Hello and welcome back to Bourbon Barrel Talk. I'm your host, Scott Minton. Today we're back in the Brock Bourbon Bar, and we've got a little special treat today. We have Mr. Kojin Tashiro with Mugen Spirit. How we doing, Kojin?
Doing good. Thank you for inviting me. It's gonna be a fun time.
I think it is going to be a fun time. We've had a little tomfoolery already just off mic.
Just a little bit. We had to calm ourselves down once.
Yeah.
It's been a good time though.
It's rough.
It's it's how it goes.
So we're going to dive through some of your. You've had what, 4 releases already?
Yeah. Well, about 4 releases total. One of them was technically a single barrel pick, which other single barrel picks will come out soon. But from our website, from us, directly through DTC, it's been 3.
3. So 3 and then a single barrel. Anyway, we're going to discuss all that. Talk about your label, the history, the story. A little bit about like you, your background, all that good stuff, and then we're just going to drink some good whiskey and enjoy our our fellowship that we're going to have today. So, and back here with the Brocks, I got the legend. I don't really know if I want to talk to the legend today or not. He's been grumpy lately, so we're going to do it with him.
Oh, whatever. We love him.
And then we've got a new guy on the show today, a good friend of mine, Mr. Joe. How we doing, Joe?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me. Looking forward to it.
Good deal. All right, well, let's dive in. So, first question. Where did the inspiration come? You've got some crazy cool bottles, the designs, and I know it's a heritage thing, but it has to dive deeper than that, I'm sure.
Yeah. So, the whole point of me starting Mugen Spirit with my business partner Justin and others who are kind of in the group now, I wanted to do something for. This might sound selfish, but I wanted to do something for myself, but not in the sense that I wanted to do something that I could kind of tout and be proud of. More so, I wanted to do something for myself that encompassed all parts of me and who I am culturally, right? So I was born in Tokyo, Japan, and my parents, everybody in my family is Japanese. When I was about 2 years old, my parents decided to move to New Albany, Indiana, from Tokyo.
That's a little random there.
It's a little bit.
It's so random.
Yeah.
I always wonder, how do people end up in southern Indiana? Of all places, southern Indiana.
Let me tell you, it's the church that puts you here.
It's the church, okay.
Yeah, so back then we were in a church that had its a satellite church in Tokyo, but the main church was in Jeffersonville, Indiana.
Okay.
Yeah, because Christ Gospel Church.
Okay,
so,
yeah.
So through that church, I came to America with my parents, and so and I went back and forth during summer break. So it's I speak and read and write. I went to school for a little bit. At IUS, there's a Saturday Japanese school, and I went to that for about 10 years. So, but most of my kind of growing up and most of my culturally relevant part, if you get me on any day. At any moment, you're probably going to see me in my American moment because at the core, I'm American. But, as I grow older, I really, really start to kind of be able to conversate with my grandparents and the people around me in Japan and my friends and other parts of my family. And what I realized is there's a lot more to this than I appreciated it for. And when I turned 30, I kind of set a point for me. I'm like, hey, everything that I do from now on, I need to really think about what I encompass in terms of my culture, my life, what I want to be represented as. And when I thought of that, I'm like, I need to do something that reflects my American, my Louisville, my New Albany, my my Kentuckiana-ness, but also incorporates the side of me in Japan where I've always wanted to, identify as a Japanese person, but inside I'm American, really, like I said. So I was trying to find something.
Yeah, I mean, you've been here most of your life, right?
I've been here 30 years out of my 32 years of
Right.
life. Yeah, 30 years. So I am American at the core. And the thing is, I when I thought about it, I'm like, what is something that encompasses both? And by then, I really liked bourbon. I was always into the food and beverage scene in terms of I first of all, I love food and bev, but also I loved wine, I loved tequila, I loved, everything outside of vodka. I was really big passionate about. I don't mean to be negative towards vodka, but in the industry, but to a certain point. But for bourbon, I always wanted to find something like whiskey that I could sip on with my dad and my grandfather, and it was kind of a thing. And I always saw it in TV. I always saw it in those kind of instances, but I never had that for myself. So that plus my friend bringing over a bottle of bourbon one day started my journey, and we can get more into that later. But I essentially was already into bourbon, and then my business partner approached me out of nowhere. Met my father through some kind of thing, and he was talking about how he wanted to start a company that's Japanese and bourbon. And now we have the phrase now on the back of every bottle that we have that says a love letter from Kentucky to Japan. And that's exactly what we wanted to create, a love letter from Kentucky to Japan. And what is something that connects both? And one of the biggest things that connects Louisville, Kentucky specifically in Japan is bourbon.
Yeah, I don't think many people understand the heritage and the history of bourbon, right? Like when you sit back and you think about bourbon and the history of it, honest to goodness, without Japan, I don't know that the American spirits industry would have survived a big chunk of the 80s and 70s.
Yeah, I mean, you already had Prohibition knocking out half of them, and then 80s, it was rough.
Yeah, I mean, everybody was drinking vodka, gin. They didn't want to drink what their mom and dad drank, so they went the opposite. So they started drinking clear spirits, which basically almost crippled the bourbon industry and whiskey industry in general. And I don't think most people appreciate the fact that really it was the Japanese market, the Asian market that really held that together for so many years.
We definitely dove into that luxe Western style. It was it wasn't, it was like the discos, but also like it just was, it was clubs, and the clubs in the sense of you go down, you have your, bottle that you bought, you have your name tag around, in a cage, you come and, bring your business clients and friends, and you get to pour your favorite bottle. It was that era. You go to a nice authentic bar and you ask for that, like it was that culture then. So it was very much a popular thing. America was big in Japan, like everything was America. So all that came out to be like, hey, like we want this native spirit of America that is one of the luxuries that we can have. So bourbon exploded during that time in Japan, and like you said, like it kind of single-handedly saved the bourbon industry in a sense.
And there's also another weird part to this story, and I wasn't even aware of how you got here, right? So the juxtaposition of the whole thing is the church that you're affiliated with as a kid, they were very anti-drinking.
Oh yeah.
So like, did they take and partake in spirits, your dad or your grandpa?
Oh yeah, we were one of the good ones.
Okay. Fair enough.
We enjoyed the church, and then we enjoyed the home.
Fair enough. All right, good deal. So
I did have a question I wanted to ask, because I love the back of the bottle where you say a love letter from Kentucky to Japan. That was the first thing I noticed when I looked at the bottle. So what has been your feedback on that? What did people said about that? Because I just think that's beautiful.
Well, fortunately for us, it's funny, when I was a kid, I used to and this is just funny for me more than anything, but when I was a kid, I would bring my lunch from home, and obviously we'd cook Japanese food or Asian food in general and put it in a lunchbox, and everybody also had Lunchables and and Uncrustables. And
you said you were with bento.
Yeah, exactly. We had a bento, and everybody had a something ubble. We would go, and they'd be like, "Ooh, what's that?" and stuff like that, and like, "Ooh, I've never seen that before. It looks funny," people weren't eating raw things. So when I talked about sushi, everybody's like, "Oh, sushi! Like you eat things raw, you don't cook it." It is so funny now that anime is in. The same people that were saying that now is like, I just can't go to work tomorrow if I don't get sushi tonight.
right.
Oh my gosh, ramen's like my favorite thing. Like what I mean? Like I hear those things. I see everybody, grown adults wearing anime shirts and going to these shows and movies and enjoying it. So to me, everybody's like, isn't that awesome? And I'm like, half and half. I'm like weird. I'm like, I feel 50-50 about it. 150%, I love that everybody loves what I like and the heritage and culture that I'm a part of. I get to be a part of. But also I'm like, man, y'all were the ones that were knocking this earlier on, and now it's cool. So now you're cool with it.
It feels a little cultural appropriation too, right? Like, in some bit.
A little bit, and like I'm not the one to be like, hey, don't think I'm not that guy.
Yeah,
by far.
And I get that.
With that being said, it's like just be honest about the fact that it's popular now, so you're able to be more forthcoming about it. You know what I mean? But with that being said, no, everybody's been giving great feedback. We kept the design simple as minimal as possible, as Japanese design is. And the purpose of this was obviously there's some Japanese elements to it visually where you can see it and you're like, oh, that's Japanese, or at least, oh, that's Asian. But the point was, when you go to Japan, you don't need to see something Japanese to know it's Japanese. And that's what we were trying to do with this brand. We're like, hey, this is not us like standing over Japan. This is us writing a love letter, a sincere love letter to Japan to say, hey, we understand what you're doing and what you're good at, you know? So a lot of the bottle represents less of the Japaneseness, you know, air quotes, and more of the fact that, you know, Japan has been creating great stuff that takes an approach of great stuff that's minimalistic and that's easy to understand, and it has a message that you can drink to, or you can get together with people and discuss and be positive about. So that's kind of the direction that we took when we created these bottles in this brand, and people have been really, really cool about it, and they've been really like, yeah, like this is really awesome, and I'm glad it's about your culture and heritage, and so overall it's been really positive.
Yeah, I think we're about to start nosing on this first one here. Kind of while people
I've already been nosing.
I know.
Me
just
too.
kind of continuing the conversation is that you know, one big thing that really brought this to light, because I didn't know much about, you know, that history of during that 70s and 80s, how much, you know, the Eurasia area was buying up bourbon. Lost in Translation with Bill Murray. You know, that brought
Make
big
it
light to
Centauri
it.
time.
Oh, yes. Very much so. But that gave a little bit of a light to it that a lot of people probably didn't realize at that time of how big it was.
Yeah, I feel like it was, you know, every generation had their, like, I think my father's generation had the, you know, the gung ho and the Make a Centauri time from Lost in Translation. Our era had, you know, like the Jiro's Dreams of Sushi and the anime and stuff like that was more widely available compared to back then, when you had to stay up till like 10, 11, you know, p.m. just to watch Japanese cartoons, you know.
Oh yeah.
So I think those kind of hinted at it, but as bourbon becomes even more and more popular and you know and it's become more of an iconic thing that people recognize, I think it really pushed the cultural narrative of, hey, like, you know, it's something that Japan is very much used to, and in fact, you know, a very large part of historically, right?
Oh, absolutely.
One of the things that I've discovered in talking with people in the stores that I've worked in is that there's very little knowledge that Four Roses for many years was totally unavailable in the United States, because it was all going to Japan, where it was so incredibly popular. And
yeah, I mean,
you know,
Wild Turkey.
it's nice to have it back.
Yeah, the Beyond Duplication series for Wild Turkey, one of my favorite distilleries, was pretty much an exclusive to Japan. Most of it went over there. I mean, the IW Harper 12 bottle. A lot of the IW Harpers. It was funny. There was an era in the 80s where people were buying it in America and flipping it in Japan. Interesting narrative here.
That is very funny narrative
Yeah.
when you sit back and think about it.
So they said, you know, IW Harper said, screw it, we're not gonna let you do that. We're gonna make our own money. So they sent all the IW Harpers exclusively to Japan for a second. So, you know, it happened a lot.
And now somebody we all know is over in Japan buying it and sending it back.
Well, you know, to each their own with their time and money. I just hope that everybody enjoys it and drinks it. If somebody wants to drink it, you let them. You know, that's all I care about.
So, all right, batch one. This one here is what, 143.2 proof.
Yeah, barrel one is 143.2. It's the first one. It's actually a funny story.
9 years old.
Yeah, 9 years old, 9.5-ish. The mash bill is 75.21.4.
Okay.
I believe.
Just old enough to start talking back, like most of us that have almost 10-year-olds.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I've got old kids.
Nah.
I've got 2 college kids. I got one that's almost completely off payroll and one that hopefully will be in the next 2 or 3 years.
Well, you know what? You got me beat there because I only have the thought of kids still. So, you know,
Count your blessings
I
yet.
commend you.
You just wait. You just wait, buddy.
I'm an old man, Kojin. I'm an old man. I'm not as old as the legend, but I'm an old man.
Hey, it's okay.
So you have your own child in this brand.
I do. What a great connector right there. It's a legend.
I appreciate the label. Was the kabuki character kind of like an inspiration behind it, or was that like, how did you like come up with the specific label design versus like, I mean, there's so many things that are, I would think that would be prominent to Japanese culture. Why did you choose that one? I guess would be a good question.
Well, let me answer this in two parts. I'll answer the part about the mystical character on the design, and then I'll kind of talk about how the bottle came about as well, in
Fair.
general, and instead of what's inside of it too. So Yokai, this is the Yokai series. So we have a couple of different series that we're coming out with. The first one we came out with is the single barrel series. Most of these, if not all of these, are planning to be all single barrel. This is the fun stuff that I get to do, which means I get to bottle whatever I think is cool at the time, what I'm into. I'm able to express myself in that way. And so Yokai is the name of these mythical characters and creatures that existed in Japanese history throughout forever. And the kind of gist of it is, back then in Japan, if some kind of phenomenon occurred, like you randomly tripped where there was nothing there and you slit your knee or something, or a lightning struck your house twice, or the wind blew a little too hard, they always would come up with a reason why that happened. And a lot of times it was attributed to a mythical creature called a yokai that was up to no good. And now there's a lot more historical background that comes from that, which is the shift from Shintoism into Buddhism for Japan. In the history of just feudal wars and things going on, but what I can definitely say is there's over 100 something yokai that exist, and they all come from different parts, and sometimes different parts of Japan have the same yokai, but from different that have different backgrounds and stories. But this one was Tengu, and this Tengu is actually it used to be a bad creature in Shintoism. And then when Buddhism came around, the thing was Tengu would live in the forest. And what was in the forest? Buddhist temples. Shinto's temples are kind of shrines. Not temples, technically shrines. Shrines are kind of on flat ground, kind of either pointing towards a mountain or on the way to a mountain. Buddhist temples a lot of times were kind of, you go up a huge plot of stairs and there's like a bunch of forest, and that's where the Tengu lived. So, when the shift happened and they're like, hey, we can't make these things that live near our temples like bad guys. They're actually pretty good. They're smart, and they're supernatural beings. So Tengu became this godlike creature that was wise and had battle tactics and could teach you the ways of battle. So we wanted to come out with a big punch with the liquid inside. That's why it's very high proof. I picked it out of, I don't know how many barrels I tasted, but I got a few samples from brokers, and that was the one that stopped me above all the other high proof, high aged things. So basically, I chose this, and then I chose the Tengu as the first yokai because it's powerful. It describes the whiskey inside. It's wise. It leads the battle. Like, it taught one of the greatest generals in Japan, they said to have lived, that died very young, trained under a Tengu in the forests of Mount Kurama in Kyoto. So there's a lot of cool tales, and it's all on the back of the bottle, actually. But and each yokai is a little bit different. So as we come up with different yokai series, there'll be a different yokai on the front. Yeah,
the tobacco and like dark sugar note on this thing is so rich.
So very, very rich.
And it doesn't drink the proof. I'm kind of cheated here because I drank through some of these a few weeks ago when I met Kojin the first time to talk about it and set this up. But
that we did.
I found out I'm a bigger jerk to a lot of people than I knew, but we'll be all right with that.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Evidently. I know, for real shocking. I always say I'm a mean cuss, but I'm saying mean cuss to everybody. So I guess, evidently some people really take it literally. Anyway.
But if you talk about the mash bill, I said again, it's 75-21-4, and it's Kentucky. So everybody, Bardstown, Kentucky. So everybody can get a guess where that's from, if you know your mash bills enough. Yeah. But what I found unique about these is, one, I did not guess the proof at all. And second of all, they have a little less of this stringency that a lot of this specific mash bill kind of barrel location has, but also I get this almost like old-fashioned type note. It tastes almost like a cocktail.
It's like a really dark cherry, kind of sugared cherry.
Yeah, with a little bit of like an orange rind, and that's what it tastes. And I really liked the finesse and the power that it had. And I had the choice to either go with something that's very, as a lot of people don't like this word to describe bourbon, but smooth
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong
No.
with that. But and smooth and easy to drink, or something that comes out kicking and punching. And I realized that, like, I want to go with red and white, the color of Japan, like Tengu, powerful yokai. When I thought about it, I'm like, the only thing that matches is this. So we came out with it. The funny thing about Barrel 1 is, in the process of bottling, things got switched up. And the original bottle that I was going to bottle as bottle number 1, or barrel number 1, actually wasn't barrel. So out of all the barrels that I was supposed to, that I tasted, we had a little bit of a switch up, and the first bottle, 143.2, the one we're drinking right now, was bottled by accident. And when I went there, I was like, "Oh man, like I don't know if this is the one that I chose. Like the proof is different, like the taste is a little bit different." And but I said, "Wait, before we do anything, let's taste it, let's smell it, let's enjoy it, and let's see." So I'm tasting it, and that's funny. At the time, Sean from Blackout
Sean. Okay. Yep.
was also there. And his famous words that I always love hearing, especially if he's talking about my bourbon, he takes a drink out of it, and I'm like, this is pretty dang good. And Sean goes, "Well, I'd be happy if that was in my bottle." And I'm like, "Well, you know what?
If Sean said
If
that,
Sean said that,
yeah.
then it's going in the bottle."
Yeah, 100%.
So it's a happy accident, barrel number 1, and it's funny because as you move along to barrel 2, barrel 2 is the actual barrel 1 that I had in mind.
That's funny. And what's the proof on barrel 2?
141.8.
141.8. So they're real close.
Yeah, and I don't like. I think everything is subjective to a certain point, and therefore, like, I will say that, like, I herald subjectivity in liking things and not liking others. And when people ask me which one's your favorite, I always tell them they're all good, but for me, barrel 2 was kind of out of all the barrels I tasted, this one was one of my favorite. Now they're always ever changing. I bottled these at the beginning of the year, and some of these don't taste like they did at the beginning of the year. But with that being said, barrel 2 is kind of like a sweet child of mine.
This was the first one you picked.
This is the one I picked.
Yeah.
Out of everything. Yeah. So
The nose is so much more delicate. Like, it's so weird how
So
much
is the
more
flavor.
Yeah, I mean, it's just funny when, like, anytime you see hazmat, and this is the thing that most people don't understand, like, especially if you find good hazmat, it doesn't drink to proof, and typically there's a delicateness about it that, like, really comes through on the nose, and then on the palate when it really, really comes through. If it doesn't have a ton of burn, or your mouthfeel isn't completely, burnt up, it makes it so much more appreciated, I think, from people that appreciate high proof that drinks below proof.
mm-hmm. And it's just like, I think it's just so balanced for how high proof it is.
Yeah, I agree.
There's a beautiful sweetness to it too. I mean, I'm just really impressed with this.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, I might say complex things, that I do love complex flavors, but who doesn't like something that's sweet too? You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely.
I wanted, with this kind of stuff, like, I wanted someone to, especially our first line, I wanted people to easily understand why I chose this.
Yeah.
But I described these 3 past releases that I did as, like, the 3 brothers. The first one is, like, the brother that decided to not go to school and, like, join a punk rock band, and and bartends at night, and then does shows. You know what I mean? Like, wild packs a punch, but still has, like, you can tell what he's about. And then the second barrel is, like, the brother that saw that is like, I'm gonna go to college, I'm gonna study, I'm gonna get a salary, gonna get health care.
Yeah.
And get married, and have kids and buy a house, That's barrel number 2. He got his shit together. and then the third one that you haven't tasted yet, technically it's glass 4 on your thing, but that's the one. 138.6 is the one where he's like, you know what? I've been watching y'all from afar, and both of y'all are dumb. You should enjoy life a little. And that's kind of how I describe these. So
That's funny.
yeah.
So have you said what barrel 2 or bottle 2's yokai is?
No.
We haven't, and I know. We already within the lineup today. We have a little unmarked bottle to a certain point, sample wise, but it is the second yokai. I did also bring next year's yokai that's coming up, a little sample bottle, and I will tell you that it is Tengu is a little bit of the masculine energy, so we're going to bring a little bit of the feminine energy within yokai. It is going to be a fox, but I'll keep it at that. You can see the design for yourself. You gotta keep a little mystery,
I'm sniffing on
No, I'm
3.
trying to think of the Japanese name for the fox. Sorry, I was trying to
What
think
does
there
the
for a second.
fox say?
Not that.
Oh, never mind. Yeah, my bad. Sometimes music just jumps in my soul.
But the funny thing is that we had talked about kids, and now you just described, hey, which one you can't pick first. You know, which is your favorite, which isn't, and it depends on the day which one's your favorite.
Yeah.
So and you're getting that assimilation going right now.
Mm-hmm. And I taste these things over and over again. I mean, to the point where people will be like, Kojin, why are you drinking bourbon at like 11 a.m. And I'm like, look, like, one, it's my job, but two, it's like
Bingo.
I do want to understand what it's about. I don't want to just be like, oh, it's good, and then put it in a bottle. There comes a point where it's going to be a lot of work to keep a track of every single barrel, but I want to be intentional and personal with these. So a lot more thought went into these single barrels than you think.
Have all 4 of the yokai been released?
Yes. So all 4 of these that you have in front of you right now have been released. The 142.2 third glass, that is actually a single barrel pick by Brian Vikey with Sealbox.
So this is number 3, the one we're sniffing now.
Yes.
That's a Silbox pick.
Yeah, and if you know Brian,
I do know Brian.
he is a man that doesn't like anything that he can predict. He wants something that's different.
He wants something outside the box for sure.
That man drinks so much whiskey,
He does. He drinks a lot.
and not just whiskey. He drinks
He
a
knows
lot
coffee
of stuff.
too.
Yeah. Also, he just happens to also kind of like be like a low key like coffee celebrity as well. Which
Yeah.
that's how I met him, because I'm a little bit in the coffee world as well. But he was tasting through all of them. And it's Brian, so I brought out all the barrels that I have available. To us, in terms of what, like, even the ones that I'm like, I want to keep this one. I'm like, I'm gonna bring it all out and see what he thinks, just to see what he thinks, because his flavor, his notes are like hilarious. It's awesome. So it's crazy. So I wanted to hear genuinely what he said, and when he was picking this, he said to me directly, he's like, this one is the one that's the outlier, and I want the outlier. So he picked it, and it had everything from all different proofs, and he picked this one. So. And I get it. Like, it does have a little bit of a different characteristic to it. And these are all the same barrel line to a certain, so.
So you gave us some background on your personal history. What about your work history? What have you got behind you to bring you to this point?
That's funny. I am one of those people that switch real hard. So I grew up my whole life pursuing music, and even when I went to IUS, a good friend of mine, Ryan Marsh, and I went to music school. He almost became an English major, and I'm like, no, you're coming to music school with me. And we started a production duo called Free Soul Effect, and we kind of we did a lot of stuff. Where we did a lot of stuff around town. We played Forecastle with he used to perform with James Lindsay, who used to be called Jalen Rose back then, in the Grand Nationals in 2014. I played with a group called 1200 with Corey Arthur, who used to be the district for city council in Louisville. But we did a lot of hip hop, we did a lot of R&B, pop, and stuff like that. And then we got into a production group called Nobody with me and Ryan, and then we're recruited by a guy named, he calls himself John Woo, from Wu-Tang, and he had a situation with Universal with an artist named Alessia Cara.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, hey, we'd really love for you guys to join and add to this. I know you guys are instrumentalists. We don't have a lot of instrumentalists. You guys play live instruments, because I play violin and a couple other string instruments and piano, and Ryan played guitar and every other instrument that I can't play. So, like, we were together. We were pretty solid. So we did that. We ended up producing a couple of slots, ended up getting on stuff from awards to, to like Grey's Anatomy and stuff like that. And then we had a little bit of a break there. And then we had a couple of deals with other companies. And then I moved into the podcast industry. So I kind of rode the audio wave, per se. I was a producer for a company called WC Studios in DC. And also at the same time, before that, I worked in between the music production and during the music production, I worked as an associate producer for Louisville Public Media, so WFPK, WFPL, WOL, and some of the themes and stingers that are on there. You might hear my name on that, because I did make a lot of those. So.
That's crazy. You really have done a bunch of different stuff.
I did a lot of fun stuff, and then I realized that I really, really, really love whiskey, and once I get into something, you can't really stop me. You have to wait for me to like crash or fall off.
So act like Scott's not here. What would you rate this podcast if you with all of your experience that you've got?
0.1.
Here's the thing. I enjoy anybody that's genuinely having fun. The worst podcasts are the ones where they act like they're having fun, and I just love people that are having fun. Now, is there a lot of bourbon podcasts out there? Yes, but but as long as you're having fun, and I can tell that from listening to an episode, that's what I care about, and that's what whiskey is about, and that's what music is really about too. In general. So everything that I believe in, it kind of amalgamates. So like I hope that you keep on doing it, and I hope you keep on having fun with it.
So the third one, it really is an outlier. It's
a weird one.
It drinks to proof. It's got some punch to it. There's
It has some
definitely
longevity.
it does. It's got a really nice hug. I like the hug though. But there's a baking spice element on that one that's like really, really way different than the other ones.
The one thing Mikey said was he's like, Brian was like, I really get these certain notes on like the orange peel and stuff like that. He's like, I'm aiming for something that doesn't have that. So it's funny because there are cult followers of this third bottle that are like, it's not like any of the other ones. Like, it's a weird one. I love it. Every single bottle has its kind of as like cult lover like group.
I could see that.
It's kind of fun. Everybody. Some people like the the punk rocker bartender, and some people like the college graduate family man, and some people like the weird third kid that had everything everybody else didn't get. So.
I'm kind of curious to see if my favorite today is the same as my favorite 3 or 4 weeks ago.
I am curious too.
That would be fun to know.
I think I remember which one you like too.
I think I do too. I'm getting ready to dive in on number 4.
Yeah.
So what's the proof on 4?
So 4 is 138.6. I wanted to make sure. So I bottled this exactly the same time as the first one.
Okay, so you bottled at the same time.
Yeah,
you bottled batch 1.
Yeah, batch 1.
But you released it 4th.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Because I thought it was super interesting. This one really to me tasted like nothing like this one. And actually, when I was tasting this one, my good friend Damon Brown, who goes by VA Bourbon Hunter on Instagram, but he has a brand called River City Whiskey. You should definitely check it out. Great stuff. But and he has a launch party this week, so I will see him. But we tasted it, and he is like. Our Venn diagram of flavors profiles that we love cross in certain parts but don't in certain parts. And this, as soon as I drank it, I could tell that he would like. And then he drank it. He's like, oh man, because he likes that weird like rice spice like baking like weird like licoricey thing. And I don't always like that depending on what the combination is. And as soon as I drank this, I'm like, oh, this is a you thing. Damon, he's like, I really like this one. I'm like, I'm bottling it right now because like I don't want to provide just one thing. I want everybody to know, one, that we're in fact not a hazmat only company, and 2, like I bottle things when it's good, not necessarily because it's high proof or low count, low yield, So, but this one was a weird one for me, and I was like, it doesn't taste like anything else. These need to be a bottle right now before it changes into something that is either not this or like everything else.
It definitely does have a different level of complexity to it, especially on the mid palate. The front has got a nice little spice to it, and then the mid is just that heavy floral note, which I really enjoy.
Mm-hmm. To me, I get a little bit of like what I get in like cask strength Scotch. A little bit, I get that like dry flower perfuminess to it a little bit, and almost like when when you sometimes like this might sound negative, but when you like you're smelling perfumes at the perfume store and something you get a whiff and you're like, ooh, that was straight to the dome. That's what I got when I drank and knows this. So that's kind of I kind of like that, and it was a different one. So I thought I'd put it in as my own outlier in a sense.
Well, 3 of the 4, number 3 is definitely my favorite. But this is much different, I think, than the other 3. It's sweet, but it's complex. There's a lot of different character to it that I haven't felt with the other ones.
Yeah, this was the one I had the most fun, and this is the great thing about single barrel series. Like you get to throw in little weird wrenches, and you get to have fun with it.
Now, there's much difference in the mash bills on these.
No,
okay,
not at all.
That's what I was asking. That's
same distillery, same barrel line.
And
Fantastic.
you said I think 75-21-4.
Yes, Bardstown, Kentucky.
Okay. I was thinking they were 78-18.
Oh, 74-18-8?
Yeah, 74-18-8.
Same distillery,
yeah,
but
they're a different mash bill.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, so it's funny, but you do have to separate the first 4 pours from the 5th pour because it's the completely different distillery. And I can let you know what it is, but It is much darker. If you for
clearly.
the people who can't see,
Clearly.
because this is an audio podcast, it's very dark. And to me, as soon I think I had tasted 50 something samples by the time I got to this one, and I was getting tired of tasting samples that I don't like, or I wasn't good. And I was like, man, I was in that mode. You know when like everything is just barely not what you want it to be, and you're just like, can I just get one win?
Yeah.
Like one win, and that's when this barrel hit. And my good friend and broker was like, hey, I think you might like this. This is weird. It's not the cheapest, but you might like it. And I'm like, okay, cool. So I drank it, and as soon as I drank it, I'm like, this smells and tastes like breakfast for dinner.
I'm literally sitting over here thinking molasses.
Yeah. Maple
So-
syrup, coffee, that's what I get. And I'm like, man, this is it. This is it.
So, what's the mash bill on this one again?
So this one's weird.
Because the nose has really got a lot going on.
So this one's a wheater.
Oh,
That's
that's
maybe
why I
why.
like it.
So it's a 70% corn, 15% wheat, then 15% malted barley. But the cool thing about this is it's 10% honey roasted malt and 5% regular distiller's malt.
Okay.
Ooh, that's a little different.
Yeah.
So
All right.
70, 15, 15, but the 15 on the malt is 10-5 with the
Isn't
honey
that
malt.
cool? It's kind of like a faux 4 grain, you know, in
Yeah.
a sense.
No, I get it.
A little bit.
And honey malt usually gives off a little bit more of a sweet viscous note.
Yes,
So
yes.
I haven't even tasted it yet. I'm just smelling it. But yeah, I'm just weird. So
Yeah, to me, it's just like I instantly transferred me to the Waffle House that I used to go to, where I got pancakes and waffles and with a huge slab of butter that's super unnecessary but necessary, and a little bit of blueberries on top. Like that's what it reminded me of.
do you like wheaters in general typically?
So I'm so divided by wheaters. Like
I'm the same way. Like
I-
I either love them or
Or
I'd much rather
absolutely-
I'd rather have a high rye bourbon
I
most of
absolutely
the
will
time.
sit in the back of my shelf and never get open again.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing. Wheat, it's funny because like when people say like people don't understand the conditionalness, like conditionality, or I don't even know what the English is. What proper English is like there are certain conditions that have to be met for me to like a wheater, and people think people always say like rye, spice, like wheat, sweet, smooth. It is not always the case.
No.
We all know here. Everybody here's a good whiskey drinker. Everybody knows just because it's wheat doesn't mean it's sweet, and just because it is wheat doesn't mean it's like a smooth drinker.
No.
And what I realized is man, the biggest like I might find just more consistency in rye, even in rye, like not even bourbon, rye, more than I do in wheated bourbon.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
I think rye whiskey in general, you typically get a more consistent flavor profile. Typically, the only bad thing about rye is you will have some that will go heavy dill or heavy
Yes.
mint, and depending on whether you like that profile or not, right? That's where you're like, oh man,
Yeah.
I either really love those profiles and you're like full in, or if you're like me and Nick, if you don't like mint, you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
Dill doesn't bother me as much as the mint profile, but if I drink mint, it needs to be like Andy's mint or like double mint gum,
Yeah,
like that
exactly.
sweet mint. I don't want like that.
That older
real dry,
MGP,
hot mint.
that older MGP rye, the 95.5s.
Yeah.
It's funny because like for me, I tell a lot of people, like especially with the 95.5s, rye, once it reaches the 8 to 10 years old, you start to tell which direction it's going to go to. Until then, ryes typically have, unless it's a weird thing or a weird warehouse, it usually 4 to 6, 7 years old. It usually all kind of has similar notes. It's either they have softer or harsher or softer notes of the same thing to a certain point. I'm not saying for everything, but what I noticed, like not as much difference as difference in uniqueness as much as difference in the same distribution of different stats. Once it gets to the 10-year mark, then it decides that it wants to be bubblegummy. Then it decides it wants to be fruity. Then it decides it wants to be a grass field. You know what I mean? Like, so it's very interesting the direction rye takes once it ages a little bit. But with that being said, wheated, I've had such a love and hate relationship with wheated whiskey. So when I first heard it was wheater, I'm like, okay, you know what? It would be awesome if, like, the off chance that this wheater is awesome, it would be it would be make my day. It would take away all the 50 plus samples that I've tasted in the past 2 weeks.
Throw it back of your shelf.
Yeah, back in my shelf, or just on some kind of surface, and make my day. And I drank it, and I'm like, and immediately knew. I'm like, I didn't even ask the price. I was like, this is the one. This is the one. The weeded part doesn't even matter. This is the one because by flavor, this is one of the funnest things that I've tasted all year.
It's pretty tasty. It's definitely different. What was the age on it again? I'm sorry, I
So
must have missed it.
this is about 9 years and I'd say like 4 or 5 months.
Huh.
Okay.
Interesting, right?
That is very interesting.
Yeah,
the
and
mash bill is
rested,
interesting.
and it rested in Kelvin barrels.
Oh.
So that's what. So that's a little bit. Kelvin's not too far from us, from where we are in Germantown. They do great stuff. They fix up all our barrels, including the Japanese barrels that we're using right now. Anyway, and they're just a great company that produces great whiskey.
So did you have wood shipped in, or did they already have some that they were doing?
We shipped. So for this next series that we're coming out with, a little bit pricier, kind of the lines of older whiskey aged in barrels and finishing barrels. But we have 15-year whiskey right now resting for about 3 weeks now in barrels that had Japanese whiskey in it.
Oh.
That
Like
no, not
like
Japanese wood, but Japanese
like
bourbon.
single malt.
Yeah,
Or-
single malt Japanese some single malt, some blends, but
Like were they
ex-bourbon cat.
Hibiki or what? Like, or can you say? Or
I can't say exactly where they're from,
okay,
but they're from a place in Saitama, Japan called Chichibu.
gotcha.
And they rested in cask that was made by a man named Ichiro.
He was a heck of a hitter.
I was gonna say, great baseball player. I don't know. I didn't know he was in bourbon, but I'm really.
And he had a
happy.
brand called Ichiro's Malt. But that's the thing. So I wanted to do something that kind of reflected the culture as well. So we brought 5 barrels back from Japan.
Oh, wow.
It took a long process, but it was fun. And then we rested our 15-year buff turkey that we had in these.
That's a ballsy move, dude. That stuff is really good anyway, and then you just did like,
Yeah,
I can't. I
yeah,
can't even.
I was. A lot of people are like, "Are you sure? Like, it's expensive stuff. I don't want to mess it up." And I looked at it and I thought really hard to myself for about 3 to 5 minutes, which is longer than I usually think about other things. And if you know me, and I go, fuck it, let's do it.
I didn't
And-
say that.
And honestly,
that is definitely a ballsy move.
I
appreciate it.
The more,
but
the
that's
more,
a ballsy move.
The more age, the more nervous I got. The idea just seemed, just to me. Like it had to be. Like there's nothing in my mind for some reason at that time. Everything in my mind said, "Look, Kojin, the worst thing that can happen is great whiskey becomes good whiskey, and if that happens, you could always blend it. You can always do something, but you're not a person that doesn't take risks to make something new." And I'm like, yes. And then, about 2 weeks into to putting in the new cast, I'm like, what did I do? What did I do? Oh my gosh.
Buyer's remorse set in pretty quick.
What if this sucks? What if this sucks? Oh my gosh. What if it's getting, I thought it was going to be cool and then it's getting hot again. What's going on? So I tasted it the other day finally. I got myself, I'm like, I'm not going to taste it until it hits 3 weeks because like, what's the point? So it's not like a fresh barrel,
No.
It traveled over from Japan. It was a little dry. So I'm like, whatever. Tasted it. Man, it was fantastic. It's the best parts of good Japanese whiskey at at a higher proof, and in the best parts of bourbon together. You get the bourbon, you get the sweetness, you get the caramel, the vanilla, you get that little bit of spice, but not too much, and then comes the lingering floral like fanciness
that comes out of
the
that
Japanese whiskey.
Yeah.
And it just turned out. I mean, it just turned out great, and it's also something I've never really drank before. And it's kind of an ode to my good friend and partner in this in this whiskey venture, in terms of someone who has basically named me as his kind of son that he never had. Ken Matsuyama from Ken's Bar in Tokyo, and he's kind of taken me under his wing, and he's the one that introduced me to a lot of these people in Japan, and he has this bottle called Ken's Choice that's come out a lot. He has an American Dream series, which is 13-year Heaven Hill, and single barrels. And then he has, his Ken's Jazz series, which is like, American whiskey aged additionally in Japan that he collaborates with the Chichibu distillery. So this is kind of an ode to him. It's like, he usually has 8 to 10-year-old stuff that he rested in Japan. I'm like, what if we put 15-year-old stuff in this?
Can I give you an idea?
Yeah. Go ahead.
In order to honor him and his influence?
Yeah.
In this, where you have a love letter from Kentucky to Japan, you should put KEN in a different color to honor him and his influence on the bottle.
You know what? I am texting that to my business partner right now.
I love it.
All right, so
That is a sweet and super cool idea.
Yeah, I'm literally doing it.
And
right
I'm
now.
a walk-off. I'll see you guys later. I'm done.
There you go. Drop the mic. There we go. 100%.
I know you're typing right now, but the question that I'm going to have is that you kind of start off with that Tengu yokai, very strong. Then you have the I'm going to butcher it, but you said fox. I'm going to go out on a venture and say kitsune.
Yeah, kitsune. Yeah,
All right.
but
You were
that's
close.
not the name of the bottle. But it is the
Okay.
kitsune. Yes.
Okay. And then, do you name the single barrels for people, or do you, or how does that work?
So my thing is, I try to keep it consistent. So single barrels, I kind of give it itself. I do post the tasting notes with it, but I keep it singular. But groups that do picks, I tell them, look, I've been on the other side of this. I've been a bourbon chaser before, lining up in 2 a.m. 2 days before. Like I've done that before, and I've done barrel picks and groups and stuff like that. So I'm like this. As long as you cover up the art, because that's a respect to the artist. We were actually worked. This is a really important part. This art is not just something that we just rendered ourselves. I was very specific about who we used for the art, and this artist named Yuko Shimizu from originally from Japan, immigrated to New York, found her with her yokai artwork that she was doing, and she was just like I wanted to bring something from the past into the future, and that was a big project of mine for this. I don't want to be just old. I don't want it to take something just old and put it on their label. That sounds like someone that doesn't know about Japan is doing Japan, And I wanted to do something that I wanted to make it a point that someone Japanese was actually doing something Japanese in America. And I saw her art. I'm like, oh, this is exactly something from the past brought to the modern world. Yeah. And also like being able to collaborate with a female artist, like you don't get and on top of that with bourbon, like that's the coolest shit I've ever heard of. So I literally flew out to New York, and I was like, Yuko, we're gonna get some sushi together. We're gonna hang out, and she did this artwork for us, and she's like, what do you want it to be? I'm like, you draw whatever you want, and we'll draw the label around it. So we created this label simply around her artwork in the middle of the Tengu.
I love it.
So every time we come out with a different series, we're gonna have her draw a different yokai.
Nice. What do you have? Is the fifth one going to be a new series, or
this is the next yokai? Yes.
Okay,
So this
so-
will have the fox on it.
Okay, excellent.
Won't be the same color,
Okay.
and it will be a different art, and it's gonna be really fun.
So have you pulled the juice from the barrel and bottled it?
No, it's still resting in the barrels. This is just the sample that I pulled. So
So it
by the
could
time
change a little bit.
Yes, but by the time we bottle it, it will be very close to 10 years old.
So that's very interesting. Because I'm going to not deny I am an anime nerd. I've been watching anime for like many, many years.
I couldn't tell.
Yes. But, the yokai and especially the fox, kitsune, were notoriously tricksters at times. And, tempting, tricking, things like that.
Yeah.
I see this bottle 5 straight up like that because you're expecting one thing and it's totally something different.
That's what I wanted. Like the kitsune or the fox, that's not what it's called, but it's gonna be called the kuko, and kuko is an enlightened fox, and it's a spiritual fox, and that's gone through 1,000 years or 100 years of training, right? And it's gonna have this elegantness to it, but a fox, there's two things that change. Like, there's a lot of yokais that change forms, but one of them is the fox. And the kitsune in Japan, legend says that it can form into anything to be able to avoid danger, but also to be able to walk amongst the humans and walk amongst the earth. So that's one of the things I had with this bottle. I'm like, this is such a weird changing bottle, and it only makes sense that we give it. But it's also elegant. It's very fancy and elegant.
Very much so.
So I thought, it's not the straight knuckle punch that Tengu has. So we had to do it right. So that's what we did.
All right, let's pick some favorite babies here.
All right.
So I don't know what everybody else thinks or if they have a favorite that they like the most, but I think I've actually changed. I think originally I was 4.
Yeah.
And I think now the more I sip on it, 1 is really just kind of popped off at me a little bit more. I'm not sure that 1's not my favorite, but the funny thing is, like, if I then add in 5's really good.
Yeah.
I was shocked at like how much I really, really enjoyed 5. Man, I think honestly I might go 5 or 1, and then 4 would come in like close right behind.
You know what's funny about this, Scott? When you first did the tasting the other day, you actually didn't say 4 was your favorite. You actually said 1 was your favorite. So you're consistent.
Oh, okay, well, good.
You are consistent. I remember.
Nice.
I couldn't remember. I thought I was like 1 and 4.
A lot of people said 2 was their favorite.
Right.
Like me. and then you were one of the few people that said I actually like one the most.
Yeah, one just for me, it just gives so much complexity, and it's got so many. The citrus notes is really what I enjoy. Like
It's a stallion. It's a wild animal.
it kind of reminds me of like the VDN barrels, right? Like when you
Gotcha.
think about the VDNs, and
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of those, especially like the VDN Rise.
Uh-huh.
So that's what it's just kind of reminiscent of that, but it's just got so much more complexity with that leather note, and I really really enjoy it.
Yeah, it does. All the flavors in one are very very bold. These show themselves very well, and it's a very colorful bottle,
Gotcha.
and that's what I like about it. I am a calm parted hair sipper, so that's why I like 2. But I understand what you mean by that.
Yeah, and then 5 is just.
It's a cool one.
It's a trickster, right? It
is. It really is.
It's a jester, as I would say it.
It
But
is.
yes,
It
for
is.
sure, 100%.
I'm going to discount 5 only because it's not finished yet.
Not out yet. Yes.
I mean, it's amazing taste. But my favorite overall was 3, followed by 1.
Okay. Shout out to Brian. Shout out to Brian Bikey.
I went 3-2.
3-2. Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
two is probably a little bit better for me, but 3 has some interest to me as well.
It's unique.
It's
very
unique,
much. He
yeah.
did pick out unique barrel.
It's definitely an outlier, for sure.
All right. If I discount 5, I'm going 1, 3, 4, 2.
Really interesting. That's awesome.
I'm always the oddball, but I am going to take out 5 because that one has definitely, and I agree with Steven. I cannot wait to taste the finished full product because this one is so very, very unique. But I'm going to have to go 2, 4, 3, 1.
Let's go. Another 2. We got another. I always love it when people agree with me. I mean, I'm a human too, so
No, 100%. There's something about validation no
there
matter
is
what.
something. And whiskey's so fun like that. You know what I mean?
It is.
As long as you're not mad about it.
Well,
just
and I have a
accept it.
tendency to be oddballs.
Yeah, Barbara is almost always our oddball of the group.
Okay. Well,
Oh, you married Nick.
Very true. Very, very, very true.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Fair
That's
set.
fair enough, yes.
You know what
And
the
I
one,
hang out with you all.
Yeah,
that's true too.
100%.
I'll tell you what I recognize from all the ratings and scoring though is that how great of a job you did across all of these because it's that hard to
Thank you so
figure
much.
out. I mean that's exactly what that is.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in this business because I like these conversations. I'm not in this business to be one of the greats that we know all today. I'm always going to be the fanboy of the legends like Jimmy Russell and even people like Drew at Willett. You know what I mean?
Wait, Jimmy Russell. You talk about legend. Who are you talking to?
Yeah, and of course the legend SJS, but the homie and the legend. I will say I'm always a fanboy. With that being said, the reason I'm in this is because these conversations are the best times that I ever have, and that's just not me being like really emotional about it. It's just true. That's why I got into it. Like, why else would you get into this?
And that's what I go back to tell people all the time. They're like, why bourbon? And I'm like, it's the fellowship. It's the brotherhood. It's like...
It's this,
right? It's just
100%.
sitting down with a group of guys, drinking through something, and then talking about it. And it's okay if you have a difference of opinion, right? Because whiskey's whiskey. Like, it's meant to be enjoyed. You're going to enjoy something that maybe I don't enjoy, and vice versa, because everybody's palate's different. You know?
And if the only conversation that comes out of this is you say something's good, I'm like, isn't it? That's great. That can be the end of it. I would be very happy.
So interesting thing. How Scott and I originally met was I beat him out on a bottle, and then he thinks.
Wait. You got to give this context. What do you
Yeah.
mean beat him out by a bottle?
So there was an opening of a store. They had
okay.
like one.
You mean like a line?
No, there wasn't even a line.
no line.
There was no line. But
so they said they weren't going to sell bottles. I'm going to help Nick here a little bit. So they said they weren't going to sell any bottles until 4 o'clock. We'll just say 4 o'clock. I don't remember what the time was because it's been it's been 5 years now almost.
Yeah.
Or
I
however
see
long.
someone's still salty about it. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Well, I was one of the first people there, right? Because I was talking to the owner. I know I'm a banker, right? So I know tons of people. So I
Yeah,
get there
obviously.
early, and I'm talking to him, and he's like, "We're not selling anything till 4 or 5 or whatever it is," and it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And we're just going, and then Nick comes in, and I see him. I wave at him. We're talking, and then we just kind of walk around, things like that, just waiting for the time to click.
Yeah.
And I guess probably about 3 or 4 minutes before like the time frame, Nick's like, Can we buy those? And one of the girls is like, "Oh, sure." And Nick's like, "I'll take it." So like I'm like, whoa! It's not 4 o'clock. This is what I'm thinking. And then funny, he buys it, and I go over to him, and I just talk to him. I thought for sure he was a flipper. I mean, we all know him.
I mean,
we all
look,
know him.
Look,
we all know him. So we had a conversation. And he's like, "Well, just come over. We'll drink it and talk about it." And literally, like the rest is history. Like I've been here pretty much every week or
What
at
bottle
least
was it,
once
by
or
the
twice
way?
a month.
It was E.H. Taylor Barrel Strength.
Yeah, barrel proof.
That's
proof.
awesome. That's a great bottle. You know what's
Yeah.
funny? One of my good friends right now that runs Unfiltered Tours, Charlie Guglielmo. He's a great guy, very very much a bourbon steward, and he does private driving, for services for people in bourbon, and overall great guy. Unfiltered Tours is who I always use for my stuff. But with that being said, we became friends because we lined up at that one liquor barn for a EHT barrel proof line. We spent when you spend 8 hours together with somebody,
100%.
you get to know them pretty well.
Oh yeah.
It's always funny because I always told people like the old school lines at Liquor Barn, right? The Saturday mornings,
Yes.
the Saturday morning club is what we called it. But we'd sit out there and like it would never fail. Q would show up.
Yeah.
And Q would have
My man Q.
he would have Q would be he'd always be like in the first 5 or 6 typically, and his mom and dad
And
would
his,
be there
his
with
dad
him.
and
Yeah.
mom are second, third,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
maybe his grandma's fifth.
Yeah. So it was always funny that'd be the whole crew. But like, and I tell people all the time, the one thing I've always appreciated about Q, like he may get a lot of bottles, may do this, he may do different things. He shares.
He does. He really does.
He will literally share anything that he has. He will let you try things.
He's very religious about it,
And-
but he
and-
will let you try it.
I still feel bad to this day because I've still not been to his house
Me neither.
for fellowship.
Yeah, he's
And
always
asked
invited
me multiple times.
I know he's asked me to, and it's never happened, and I
Yeah.
feel bad. It's the same thing with me and John Cecil.
There you go.
It's like he's invited me multiple times to his speakeasy,
Yeah.
and it just hasn't happened. I feel bad. I just had drinks with him the other day. I'm like, man, I'm so bad about this. I need to go over there.
So to be fair for your time, because we appreciate the time you gave us today, if people want to buy spirits, if they want to find out more about the brand label, how would they do that, and how do they reach you?
So I'm always on my Instagram for sure at Kojin Tashiro. It's just my full name. I don't do any weird monikers.
You
for
better
that reason.
spell that. I don't know that
K-
most people can spell Kojin Tashiro.
It is at KOJINTASHIRO. But we also have at Mugen Spirit, MUGEN at Spirit, and MugenSpirit.com. It's the same MUGEN Spirit.com, where you can sign up for our email list. And basically, the only thing we tell you about is something new came out or if a drop's happening.
Now, the MugenSpirit.com, you've really got to put an about button on there
Yeah.
and tell the story.
So that's the whole thing. We're like, what if we don't put it about it?
You've got to.
You know those college thoughts that you have when you're like under the influence and you're just like, man, like let's do something that like will throw people off.
That's called brainstorming
or,
session.
or you put the about button and put nothing in there.
That's another good one. That might be a good idea. I might do that. But no, all we tell is that list always knows first. So if you would like a bottle of ours, like right now we're DTC. We'll be in distribution soon. But right now, a lot of our stuff is DTC, which is great because a lot of people can get it anytime they want, or when it drops anywhere anywhere in America. But you sign up, and we always give the email a heads up before anybody. Sometimes the email list is the only people that get heads up, and we don't really spam anybody. We just kind of like send out notifications as needed. So sign up, put your email in there, and you will be the first to know when our next bottle comes out, which might be soon.
Soonish.
There's a specific month that's ending that's has a lot attributed to bourbon, and
Okay, I need to be signing up.
yeah, it's a little good sign up. So I do that. Also, we have a little special bottle that we're releasing of Yokai at the end of this year when it turns 10 years old. So
There we go.
Yokai Christmas edition.
Christmas edition. It's a design. It's a different design too of the same. It's the same Yokai. But
Is it going to have Nakatomi Plaza on
Oh,
it?
cool.
I'm sorry, I had to. That's wrong.
Only if you wanted to. In your dreams, Scott.
The-
In your damn dreams. Oh, no, I'm just kidding.
The back of the bottle has the little vent
Yeah.
with the lighter and Bruce Willis looking up and around.
Guys,
The idea
I
is
thought that us Japanese were the only ones that liked Hollywood this much, but I guess y'all like it too.
fair enough.
What I like about this conversation and others similar to it is that you guys live up to a saying at Rabbit Hole. That is, bourbon is a verb. It is not a thing. It is sharing. It is living. It is a live product.
It's an enjoyment.
There is so much going on in the bourbon world, and to have people like you doing what you're doing is incredibly special and important.
Thank you so much for that. That actually does mean a lot. And then we're also going to mess it up a little bit. We're going to have some mess it up in a good way, as the cool kids say it.
Alrighty.
We have some Japanese whiskey on our way as well. Interesting stuff though, like craft Japanese whiskey with distilled with a bourbon mash bill in different
Nice.
I must say, I've always been like one of those Nika with
The coffee
grain,
stills.
Yeah.
the coffee stills.
Yeah. So we're gonna do some Japanese craft whiskey, bourbon mash bill, heritage Japanese grain mash bill. We're gonna do collaborations, blends, finishes, and basically our big goal right now is to bring bourbon to Japan and make it big again, and also introduce America to the world of Japanese bourbon per se, for like a better legal term we can call it. So
Right.
we're gonna try to do some cool stuff. So hopefully we can meet the palates and the excitement for y'all.
I can't wait.
I think that's our episode of Bourbon Barrel Talk. If you want to find us, you can find us on Facebook, the Instagram, or the X. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. That way you get these episodes as soon as they drop on Sunday morning. If you have any questions for me or Kojin, you can email me at bourbonbarreltalk@gmail.com. Or Kojin, you got an email?
Yeah, it is Kojin, Kojin, at LouisvilleBrands.com.
There we go. That's Scott, Kojin, the Brox, Joe, and the legend signing off. Peace.
Prost.
Peace out.
Woo!